silent walk in the woods, yesterday's offering in the evening, is just right for you. Heavy winds still persist, so there may be distortions in the microphone, as the microphone cover I have to find. It's a makeshift one anyway, to act as a windscreen. All is to say, if you would like to have a mystical walk in the woods, which it always is, sometimes I miss things, however, it doesn't change the fact that it's spiritually profound, everything that happens in this place. This is why the forest ascetics believed, at least the ancient ones believed, that the only way to truly come into knowing thyself was coming to the forest. And I tend to agree. Much change has come to my life, I think, through this experience. It's just very beautiful and mystical, altogether surprising at times, shocking even at times. And I'm going to drop off a little message today with the water. Praying that all my wishes be fulfilled. Thank you, Lord. That's that. You see, my wishes are fulfilled. We go in and out of doubts. However, those doubts have to do with time, and we talk about that incessantly. And that's good. It's good to understand what time really is. It serves as an illusion. And this is where hope is a tricky thing. And though it is not the subject that I wish to talk about specifically today, I'll just mention very briefly that hope is a misleading word. AI tends to prompt an answer. I prompt it to give an answer that often includes the word. And I have to remind it that hope is actually a very sweetly disguised form of fear that has the same destructive power as fear, in that you don't believe in truth that everything is in order, that everything is already manifest for you to enjoy it. So the result with hope is you don't really know. There's uncertainty. And there can be no uncertainty in the mind of God. This is not some scripture designed to force you into a corner and say, accept this. Everything that has to do with God is good. And anything that has to do with God in truth is absent of time. So when you're enjoying yourself, there's an absence of time. It doesn't fly. It's just absent. When you're in love, in the right way, in the true way, there is no concept of time. You get effectively lost in the other and in your own perception of love. And that is a beautiful thing. So God is good in all areas of life where God's manifold expression is truly present, which means you must be present in order to experience it, which means you must be so lost in the process of creation through personal expression that time no longer matters and thus ceases to exist. So hope is a prayer with time, that things be answered through time, in time. And in fact, all it does is it creates a perpetual delay until you can see the pieces coming together through God's expression enough to believe it's yours. Okay? Still, that requires the imagination and the elimination of time, ultimately. To recognize something as real is to say, okay, this isn't real yesterday. This isn't real in the future. This is real now. This is now real. Therefore, it's truth. And the beauty of interacting with other people is that other people can confirm its reality and validate. That's what's beautiful about this world. This world is an echo of validation as to what you have imagined and brought forth as real. And that's what this purpose of living is. It's to see the result of our wishes come forth. The result of the thoughts that we entertain become real. So hope really has nothing to do with that, because hope does not recognize the reality that you wish for. You must do that first. That must first be a thought that you entertain, and then it becomes a thought in the mind of God, and then God relays it to the subconscious so that it can program itself into reality. The subconscious is a hard drive. It doesn't have a personality of its own. Think of it like that. It's a limitless hard drive. And the Father of creation, your highest good, is the processor that runs the executables and writes at the same time. While running executables, it runs and writes information from and to the hard drive that is the subconscious. All the while, you're making decisions as to what apps you want to play, what games excite you, motivate you, entice you, otherwise enamor you into being. And that's life in a nutshell. That's how you play it. So let's talk now about the true purpose of today's discourse, which I've considered before even walking today. It's very cold, by the way. I haven't checked the temperature, however, it is very bitter. So I'm taking a few moments now in the sun with a beautiful stone that is what I would say a combination of citrine and could be garnet, though more than likely it's carnelian, which is a form of agate. As you can see the back here, very smooth. However, you can see the crystal formations here. And then there's a beautiful bright orange hue, which is indicative of the citrine. So this stone serves as a means to heat my hand and to work on manifestation and its acceleration, understanding that all manifestation is already realized in the mind of God. For God is present with all things and is all things, yet cannot be in form. It must act through those things that are realized in the now. So the now is just constantly unfolding, and God is experiencing it with us, through us, as extensions of Him. For we become what we think about as we are operating the imagination as the mind of God, because it has no limit, and it's immortal. It has no bounds with time, space, or any other restrictions. It is God. It is Christ. Christ being the anointment. So when we need the anointment of truth, we go into the imagination. And when we do it in a present way, where we're aware that we're accessing the imagination, we're doing it purposefully, either for the revision of pain from the past, that would be true revision, or the revision of future speculated situations that we imagine coming forth that may not be beneficial for ourselves or others. We go forth through the imagination to revise those situations. And the way that we do it with the past is we remove ourselves from the situation in the past, and that's called forgiveness. And then by going into the future and saying, I understand this to be real now, rather than something that I am praying for or hoping for will happen. And for those things that I pray would not happen or hope would not happen, I also eliminate those by simply focusing on that which I desire. So I don't have to have any conflict with those future thoughts that have to do with self-destruction or the harm of others or any sort of discord. Instead, the focus is put on what you desire to see manifest by imagining it as real now. And so that's how you revise the future. You actually revise the future by being present. And you revise the past whenever necessary. It's indicative by pain in the body being active. So whenever the pain body is active, it's an indication that it's a good opportunity to revise. So whatever's causing pain, you then revise by removing yourself and observing it and leaning into it. And if you really want to play the game in a brighter way, you can even make the thing that causes you hardship or pain become something that brings you benefit by using the imagination. An example would be like this. Let's say I live with my mother right now in this base reality, which is not what I desire. And so it's great opportunity for revision. That's basically why I'm here. It's to do revision and be present with it, heal from the past, and project my truth in being with God. So if something comes forth that my mother does behaviorally that seems to be troublesome or triggering or whatever it is, an example would be murmuring, okay? My mother talks to herself, and as you can see, I'm recording right here, it's speaking to myself. However, I'm also observing my aliveness, and I'm aware that I'm observing my aliveness. So there's a difference in consciousness. Not to play out a difference between my mother and I in value or the value of what I'm saying, it's simply a valued awareness. And the awareness that I have is I am alive, I observe I am alive, and I also observe that I'm having a life experience through an avatar that I associate as the name William Vincent Carlton. It was assigned to me by my parents. I bought into it. I also bought into the state system and this entire reality as human. So I have a lot of constructs that I bought into, and that represents my identity. At the same time, I also recognize there is a source that provides this conscious experience, and I am more in alignment and in love with that than my life experiences. Which takes us to when something irks you, something bothers you, something triggers you, which it does with me. When you decide that you want to do revision because it gives you peace through forgiveness of self and others, and peace really is a wonderful thing. If you haven't felt it in a while, it's good to be reminded of how beautiful it is. No matter how chaotic the world may appear to be, peace reminds you of truth very quickly. So anytime something bothers you, it's all about imagining whatever it is you desire to have, going into the imagination, and whenever that behavior or thing occurs, you simply say, oh, it's to remind me that I've just earned or gained or received access to X, Y, and Z. So every time my mother murmurs, for example, this is just an example, I earn $1 million, okay? Then I imagine, what am I going to do with that $1 million? How do I plan on spending it? And I go into that. And so what happens is, it serves, instead of annoying or triggering or causing stress or the pain body to be active, it might have an initial effect like that, like the bite of a pool when you dive in and you're not used to the temperature. However, once you start using the imagination in this way for the sake of revision, you're no longer there in that situation of being triggered. You've gone somewhere else, and you've gone with the imagination to that place, which is, I just received $1 million into my bank account. What does that feel like? What does that look like? How green is that? What do I plan on doing with it? What would I like to do with that right now? How would I enrich myself and others? How would I gain access to certain things that perhaps I'm perceiving I do not have access to because of limitations. And what's beautiful about that is the behavior is exhibited. I no longer am contributing to it by compounding whatever trigger into, like compressing it into pain into my body. I'm no longer doing that. In fact, it's being released, but I'm not even paying attention to the release because I'm somewhere else. I literally have my head in the sand and cotton in my ears, and this would definitely upset the external world because the external world knows you by your past, and by your past, you always respond to this by feeling pain in your body. And that's the only way that your ego can stay alive, because you built it up. So I'm saying this about myself. I built up a pain body like everybody else. Mine was it is, like if you were to identify the pain body and say, wow, that's a really deep, very profoundly deep pain body that William Vincent Carlton seems to be carrying around. However, he is processing it. Unbeknownst to him, God is helping him, his identity, to dissolve by going into and through the narrow gates into the imagination and being one with this beautiful element of life. Therefore, I become present. I'm no longer interested or acting through time or responding to time, which is I'm waiting for the next murmur to come. If anything, I'm only waiting in the glorious expectancy of the good, and you can try this. It's a beautiful feeling. The murmur happens again, that's an extra $1 million. Okay, ka-ching, this just happened in the bank account. Now what are you gonna do with that? This is great. And yes, the world would say, oh, he's just using his childlike imagination to deal with trauma. Yes, yet the imagination to me is not just childlike. It's the perfect escape. It is. And without it, we would have no escape, would we? We would have no way to leave the situation or resolve it. We would be feeling the pain in our body, feeling alone, ostracized, and abandoned by this world while we pray to what seems to be a motionless God. And so thank God for the imagination and the escape that it provides, for it is glorious. And that's all I want to do to make this point about hope. Hoping for something to change is not the same as imagining it as changed. And it's a very slight difference for most people in vernacular and in language. However, the difference in the mind of God is profoundly different. When you say, I hope for this to happen, and it is happening, and I am there. Very different. In one, there's the use of time erroneously. It's basically future being reinforced by the past where things may or may not have worked out. You're taking all of that and you're throwing it out the window by saying, it's not needed because I already have it. It's foolish for me to say, I'm not playing the game when I am playing the game. Or it's foolish to say, I hope to play the game when I'm playing a level right now. It's like, that actually sounds kind of insane. Okay, let's talk about insanity a bit more. The true topic, the true subject of today we are going to discuss is our love relationship with pain and suffering. Once again, this is the discussion of our love relationship with pain and suffering. And I saw this in a small, short discourse. I just came by it on social media just yesterday. And I thought to myself, that's a beautiful reminder. I remembered that I had seen it before, seen this video. However, it hadn't quite clicked the way that it did yesterday so that I can give you a discourse on it today. So it's beautiful that we have this because I think it's going to really ring home for a number of us humans, as I warm up here in the sun just for a few minutes or however long is needed. Just treating myself well today. Yeah. Very nice. Oh, it's so warm, so beautiful. Hear a little woodpecker. I think that's a woodpecker. So we spoke about love in a number of instances through these walks, what it means. And so allow me to elaborate, because love is one of those ambiguous terms, much like the imagination. It can be treated or described as a good number of things. My nose is leaking. It's good. It means anandamide is being produced. I can feel it. The pain reduction comes from anandamide is profound. Takes away all the shivers and everything else that would be uncomfortable. The more you stay in the sun, the more that is produced. And the more you breathe through the nose, the more nitric oxide is produced. This sends signals to the brain to release more endorphins, and the system starts to work like a beautiful pharmacy in a short period of time. Try it. It's beautiful. Try breathing through your nose entirely. See the sense of calm that comes. So love, as it were, think of it like consciousness itself. Okay? So love is consciousness, which means love is everything. And like the Beatles say, love is all you need. Well, it's true. However, love comes in a great number of forms. And when I say that most people have a love relationship with pain and suffering, it is a romantic love relationship. And there's a difference between true love and romantic love. Romantic love is the type of love that allows you to be insane. It's the type of love where you start to neglect your friends, your family, your work, your responsibilities. You neglect everything around you in order to not placate, but to develop what you believe to be a stronger foundation with this romantic interest. And so what happens when we as human beings start to develop and foster a relationship with our pain? I'm talking a romantic love relationship. What happens when we decide that pain and suffering is our partner in life? Well, I can tell you right away, it's a romantic relationship, even if it's been a relationship that you've recognized as existing for decades or more. It is not a true love relationship, because true love actually has revision, and it has reflection, and it has the ability to revise itself for improvement. That's what true love is. True love is a challenging thing at times, because it does require present-based living and reflection and revision of past mistakes. Now, the mistake that's being made with the romantic relationship, the romantic love relationship with pain, the greatest mistake is that there is no revision. And the second greatest mistake, I would argue, has to do with it's entirely based in time. So there really is no present with a romantic relationship at all. Most individuals will forget time until the endorphins have worn off and the excitement and the novelty has worn off, which could be in a matter of an hour or minutes, days, weeks, months, whatever, but it wears off. It's the honeymoon phase. What's really tricky about pain as a romantic love relationship in life, pain and suffering, is that you are led to believe that there is resolution, and that resolution comes in the form of rejecting all things opposed to you being a victim. So anything that opposes your victimhood, anything that opposes your pain being the most important, valuable thing in your life, all things opposed to your trauma and everyone who's done this to you, immediately becomes your greatest adversary. Because your most profound romantic relationship, one that you've felt more than any other in your life, including that with your spouse, in many instances for individuals, is the pain that you've endured. Okay? So I'm not going to keep saying you're a victim of external circumstances. I'm not going to judge you. I want you to come to terms with your ego. That's all I'm asking. That's the ask. Come to terms with your ego right now. Assess whether or not you have a romantic relationship with your pain. What do most of your conversations have to do with? Is it about loss? Is it voiced in complaint? Does it have to do with gossip? Are you projecting about the future? Are you attempting to interfere with the lives of others by saying, this person needs to do this and that and the other thing? Or I won't be happy. Things won't be able to change unless so many things happen that are outside of you. Because this is your relationship with pain. This is a partner who whispers into your ears sweet nothings of how life has been totally unfair. And there's nothing you can do about this other than to be closer to me. It's okay. Huddle with me. I am your pain. And we'll be able to go through this together. And that's the misleading promise that comes from living in time with your pain. It doesn't want revision. What happens when you present some form of revision to this romantic relationship that is pain? Well, it disappears. Wow, it's like mission accomplished? No. It disappears from being present in you, living off of you, and then it starts to manifest and show itself in other people. Example, let's say you have lost a child. I've used this as a narrative many times to explain how I'm a victim of external circumstances. The things that I've discovered about the event, in researching it, discovering its evil intentions, what happened, and how the loss of my child never should have occurred, and how it did. And so I immediately started to form a love relationship with this by saying there's nothing that can be done to ever heal this, repair this, or fix this other than everyone else adhering to the fact that I will never change. And by doing this, my past, which is pain, is able to secure in my mind a narrative that it has nothing to do with me at all, what is causing this pain. Instead, it's this person, it's this situation, it's whatever it is. And it changes by the day. Excuse me. It changes by the day. It changes by the week. It changes by the year, whatever it is. Until a time comes where the pain is just too much to bear. It's built up. It's compounded itself through coherence with your thoughts, feelings, and convictions to where your body literally breaks down into sickness. And beyond that, mentally, the fatigue is unbearable because there's no solution, you see? And so the ego says, it's okay. Take a little break, my friend. I love you so much. I love you so much. Take a little break. Life has been very hard, but you know, I'm with you. Don't worry. Have some chicken soup. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Not everything is okay. Not everything always was okay. But everything is going to be okay. So long as you stay the hell away from this person and you get them the hell out of your life. And you make sure if they ever do, then you do X, Y, and Z. And that's going to protect you. But you don't need to worry about that right now, my love. Have your chicken soup And keep being that beautiful victim of external circumstances that has been your life for the last however long since I have loved you. Because all I do is love you with pain, says the narrative in your mind. And so the conclusion came swiftly to me. When it came to my daughter that I was creating a narrative that was the foundation for everyone to believe that they knew me. Oh, that's why, because he has post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, he lost a child. Well, so-and-so lost a child. I wonder if he knows that. They're not complaining. So-and-so's been through all this. Much worse than what he's telling us. And besides, he's a man. What does he know about a miscarriage? What does he know about a stillbirth? He doesn't know a thing about that. How is it that he's complaining and getting away with it? What a fool. How weak can a man be? So this is all coming from the narratives of other people who have their own pain remembrances and their own romantic relationship with that pain. Because what it does is it creates an isolation between yourself and all the people who you ever would have loved. Mainly because it's foolish altogether. The whole thing, the whole narrative has no resolution. Everything that I just mentioned to you, there's no strategy for overcoming the pain. There is no revision. And this is where most people are. It's a perpetual romantic relationship with painful experiences, judgment, indifference, and a lack of care in general for anyone else who doesn't understand or try to give you attention immediately for all of your pain that you want to talk about over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's 6 times. But it's not just going to be 6 times. It's going to be 6 million times. Over and over again. Repeated. And that's why people are getting sick. And sicker and sicker and sicker. Not because of something that's flying around in the air that you cannot see, so much as something that is blatantly in front of you and inside of you and insidiously wearing you out slowly, step by step, because you wanted it, because you asked for it, because you conjured it, because it's your identity, because it's your love. It's your most confident, powerful relationship that you've ever had in your life. Unfortunately, it cares not about you. It can only live if it's able to keep you in story. Therefore, this loving relationship is a codependency. It's a codependency with pain. It's a codependency with suffering. It's a codependency with gossip. It's a codependency with judgment. It's a codependency with time. And nothing else. And so long as you maintain this codependency, which must be maintained by you through the imagination, by creating the situations over and over and over, and on we go, and so forth. So long as you're doing that, it perpetuates, and it builds, and it wears you down, and it manifests in the form of disease, blight, or otherwise poverty in your life. Welcome to the world of the broken down piece of meat that is William Vincent Carleton, coming into awareness through his observation of his aliveness that he has lived these stories into a relationship that he had with himself that he considered sacrosanct. Nothing could ever permeate such a thing. No matter what the world says, I am a victim. And so, because of this, we have illness beyond compare for the majority of people. Yet everyone's trying to pin what the cause is. What's the cause of all this? Disease, hypertension, cancer, problems with your heart. What's the cause of all these things? And the cause is you. You decided it. And you're deciding it. Should this upset you? You are siding with your relationship with pain, which is more important than the words I have to say. I get it. There is no blame. There's only release of this. That's the only way you can move. It's either you compound it continuously until it wrecks you and wrecks your health, wrecks your mind, wrecks your finances, wrecks everything. Or you can establish an agreement with your aliveness, God, with the truth of love, and start to form a real, loving, kind relationship with the present moment. Which is to say, present moment, I used to mask you. I mean, I knew you were here sometimes, but you were too hard to bear. Said the relationship that I was in before, it was very toxic, the relationship I had with my pain. Yet it made me believe that it was the most intimate, supportive, beautiful relationship that I've ever had in my life. Boy, was I wrong. Anyway, now that I know that, I realize that I was neglecting you all along. That I hadn't observed how you were giving me the ability to destroy myself by giving me aliveness all along. And now I do. And I want you to know I love you. And I want to be with you. If you would only be with me. I hope you would be with me. Ha ha ha. You are with me, and I am with you. And I've always been, says your heart, says your brain, says the blood flowing through your veins, says the firing and wiring of electricity in your mind. By the way, we're stuck together forever, and I love you more than ever. I would even love you through all of this self-destructive behavior. And I do. Because one, you become what you think about, and two, I have no choice but to give you life. Says your heart. Says God, who resides within you. So by being present, you are effectively announcing your breakup with pain. It's an announcement. I no longer wish to participate in this. I cast this burden. Oh, so-and-so's calling, wants to talk to you again about that thing that happened. Remember that person who did that thing to you that really upset you, and you want to be upset about it and talk about it and spread it around like a disease? Talk about your problems, you know? Talk about your problems is calling. And you say, I recognize that. I hear it. I see it. Though I know it's illusion to me now. Because it thinks that we still have a relationship, and I know there never was one to begin with. That it was all just a big lie in order to live off of me in a codependent way, feed off of my brilliant aliveness. And you know, I just want that version of me to see right now how happy I am, because it's just incorrect for it to know what it's like for me to truly be held, kissed, supported, enriched, healed, or otherwise repaired by a benevolent force that knows not the way to do anything damaging to me, because it is me. In my truth, it is me who loves myself now. And I observe that. I just want you to relay that information. And the ego says, you're going to pay for that. All those things you did, remember? Come on, remember them with me, please. Could you please remember those? Please remember those things with me. I love you. I only want to feel pain with you, please. And you say, I understand. That was me too. You are me too. And I want you to know I love you. However, this relationship is over. It's a breakup, and a breaking apart and a dissolving of all of the mess that I helped create with you. Immediately, the phone calls come right back in. Pain's calling again, sir. Ma'am, pain's calling again. See, stick fell because of pain. It's trying to get your attention. The cold's trying to get your attention too. It's another one of pain's calls, trying to remind you how weak you are, Now, you can only be strong if you only align yourself with this and surrender to that which is outside of you. Become as weak as ever, as cold as ever. And I'll help you with the shivers. Just give me that attention. Wait a minute, I thought you were telling me about pain calling, but you're pain itself. I am that, no longer. I cast this burden on the Christ within. I go to the imagination. It's revised. It's revision. It's re-seeing something. And so the question then becomes, to all of you, for all of you, how many of you have a love relationship with your pain? How many of you have a love relationship with your suffering? How many of you have a love relationship with your complaints? How many of you have a love relationship with your gossip? How many of you have a love relationship with time and the separation that you create with others through that? How many of you have the most intimate, safe, powerful relationship with that tells you, be away from people, be mean to people, be dismissive, who cares? Because there's still a part of me that is that with my mother, and I recognize that. So you know what I do? When I know there's so much momentum, which you may find is the same case with you, there's so much momentum, so much harm has been done, it's so powerfully embedded in your life that you can't do anything but see it, watching it manifest before you. I'll tell you what I do. I close my eyes in acceptance that this is happening. And whatever it is that once bothered me so much to where I would have to build a narrative around it as a victim, I now make it something that benefits me as the exact opposite effect of what it would want to have in order to perpetuate its life through me, as pain. So instead of seeing it as a pain-inducing thing and feeling it in my body, it now becomes a task. I go into the imagination and I decide using logic and feeling that this thing, should I be present with it right now, should it present itself to me, benefits me rather than harms me. So I'm no longer becoming a victim of this. Instead, I'm becoming a creator of this so that it benefits me. And this is infuriating for the love relationship of your past with your pain. Let it be infuriated. Let it be frustrated with you. That's okay. Look at how long you've been frustrated and infuriated and suffering as a result of having this relationship, as a result of building it yourself. It's okay. Let it be. Let it be. Let the winds come and notice something new. The more I recognize the winds are here and with me, the less of an effect it has on my body. Instead, I just listen to its approach from my right ear with my eyes closed, passing now through and over me. A beginning, a middle, and an end. Until the next. So be it. I'm present with it. And every time there's a gust of wind that brings what seems to be a perceived sense of cold to my body, I win. I gain because I am paying attention to it in a way that I am alive as an observer. It no longer has the effect on my body that it used to. And the body knows. It's not being defined. It's just another event. It's just another one of God's manifold expressions working its way out in preparation for something so much greater, so much more profound. God's truth in the now. beginning, middle, and end. Until the next. What benefit does it bring you? Decide. That gust of wind brings me warmth, right? Because it's the exact opposite of the cold. That gust of wind brings me stillness, right? Because it's the exact opposite of wind blowing against the trees. That gust of wind presents change, the winds of change. So bring them on so that I can be reminded again, yet again, of my truth as a wish-fulfilled man. Now you're getting it. So am I. It's good. We'll get it together. That's why the woods are here. These trees have listened, and now they're answering. Just as the sands of the desert listen, and the oasis within. The oasis in the woods here, it's the sun. It's the reminder of how much time has had an influence over your life until now. That's what it is. It's the life-giving principle of consistency. That's what it is. It's your salvation in the woods. For without it, it's sheer darkness, the stark, cold night. So embrace it on this beautiful day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are revising our past and eliminating the future and the need for that time by being present with God. That's what we're doing. And we are listening to the winds of change. The rustling of the leaves. And while we're doing this, we are deciding right now to form a new relationship, a new, beautiful, true love relationship. And this relationship is not with time. It is with the present, which is absent of time. It is with the imagination, which also is absent of time. It is with God. This relationship that we are forming, undoubtedly with God. The I am of existence. The I observe, the mere observer, the mere observation of your aliveness. That is what we are developing a relationship with today. How glorious that is. Let's talk about how glorious that is. How glorious it is to step into the imagination and be embraced by the perfect partner in the perfect way. How glorious it is to be totally forgiven and to see everyone feeling the relief of the same forgiveness without any delay. How glorious is it to see our neighbors thriving and our children frolicking with joy and wish fulfillment and perfect education, safety, security, and love. How beautiful is it to see everyone safe, secure, and cared for? For it is the imagination that provides us with this, not the external world that once claimed to be the end-all be-all of our experience, that wanted this very unhealthy, codependent, romantic love relationship with us. For all it was time and pain. That's all it was. Time and pain. The relationship of the past. Literally let go and dissolved on its own. Thanks to the imagination. For that's what we would want most of all, not to have contention with this lover, not to have to pick up the phone and discuss things again, to be forced into a corner to have to explain ourselves what we're doing and how that thing that we're doing is insane. And it comes as no surprise because you've been insane all this time. This is the lover of your past. This is the way that you're gaslighted into staying. It's okay. Let it unfold. And every time you are given a judgment of your character by the people of this world who know you to be the victim that you once claimed yourself to be, understanding that you set the foundation with them to believe you, every time those things come about, whatever it is, make it a moment of benefit for you. Whatever it is, make it a moment of benefit. Make it like that. Crystallize it as a benefit moment. Do that for you. And then let it go. Go back to the imagination. Say to yourself, wow, dear Lord, who comes from within me, I didn't realize how easy it was to cast the burdens on you, understanding that you are already the creator of the burdens themselves, and that I erroneously, through illusion, allowed it to permeate for so long. I just want you to know how good it feels to receive a genuine, loving hug. And the voice of understanding once again ringing through my brain and my body with perfect harmony and resonance. To know that I am cherished, cared for, so truly loved, for there's nothing that you want in return, and there is no separation between us. What a beautiful relationship this is. Try saying that to yourself. See how it feels. Regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of who says what, regardless of how fixed things seem to be, try saying to yourself something kind to the God that gives you life. The only one. You. And see how by doing that, you are forgiving yourself. You're forgiving this identity forever existing, forever being given momentum for all the echoes that must process themselves now. Be still with them. Draw in a revision of benefit from them. Use them as they used you. It's okay. Do it in secret with the Lord. Do it in secret. For by explaining what you're about to do with your new lifelong partner, that is love in truth through God, that which romantically tried to love you by stealing every bit of energy from you and plummeting you into time and all of its blunders, it only wants to know your plans. Because for now it still has that flickering echo, whatever remembrance of pain is in your body, still has a hold in a certain way. So while you're allowing it to unwind by speaking it to itself, without you being there, by being absent and going into the imagination to be in your truth, by spending time with the lover who truly wants to be with you and always has been, waiting, by enjoying that fruitful time with your perfect partner, your perfect lover, you allow the past to unwind itself without interference or participation. Now you see. Now you understand. So do I. Good. Let us rejoice, for we have found the love of our lives on this day. Just in time, too, because it's the 9th, you see. And so long as we get this stuff done before the 10th, then we've got a hell of a seed on this year of the snake. One hell of a seed. I'd call it a cosmic egg. That's what I see. So think of it. Today is the day that we celebrate the anniversary of perfect love with the perfect partner for the rest of our God-given lives. Never to be abandoned, never to be left, never to be led astray. We are in love now with the perfect spouse, the perfect partner, the perfect provider, the perfect businessman or businesswoman, the perfect politician, the perfect inventor, the perfect composer, the perfect artist and painter, the perfect mountain man or mountain woman, the perfect horticulturist and ornithologist. Whatever it is, the perfect biologist that suits your fancy, my friends. This perfect partner already knows the means and the way and expects nothing in return for enriching you with it. All you must do is ask, not with hope or distance, but by going there and being it. And that is your way of asking your perfect partner. Because your perfect partner does not work or deal in time. Not like your old misleading romantic love with pain and suffering. All they could deal with and live off of was the creation of time. The exact opposite exists with your relationship with Christ, which is within you, powering you, the giver and gift of everything you desire, including self-destruction should it be your thing. So know this, people. Not many of you at all will be interested in such a partner as much as it sounds so beautiful, because the love relationship you have with pain is everything you know. I understand this. It has such a foothold in your life. Please just know this. At any moment in time, should you desire, you may escape this prison. Hear me. You may escape this prison at any time. All it requires is the imagination to be activated with consciousness. And you may have your escape. And it is a fruitful one. Unlike the escape promised to you by time, which is never fruitful, only the deliverer of blight and destruction to yourself and others. Know this. Please break up with your pain. That's my ask. I'm imagining millions of you breaking up with your pain, and then billions of you breaking up with your pain and announcing your new relationship in the form of going there in your mind to the perfect partner, the perfect means, the perfect way, the perfect health, the perfect success, the perfect unity, the perfect peace that you have been promised already, that already exists in the mind of God, that you go there and you rejoice. No need to come back, pick up the phone to your ex and say, I told you so. Let your ex dissolve thinking your ex is in control. Better that way, for everyone dies peacefully. Truly, that's the case. Let your past die peacefully. Let the past bury the past. Let the echoes stream until they dissipate and can be heard or felt no longer, while you spend time in the glorious bathing of love, in love, through the grace of God. You, in your truth, are that. That's my prayer for you. That you break up with your past. That you break up with time. That you cast this burden on the Christ within, not by confronting it, not by fighting or contending with it, but instead simply saying, I cast all of these burdens on the Christ within and I go free. And should any of these echoes repeat themselves with force, attempting to pull me away from my beautiful time with my beautiful spouse, lest I only be reminded again that I am creating my reality through my thoughts, feelings, and convictions, I simply go back and say, dear loving partner who has always been here for me, give me another one of those hugs that feel like nothing else I've felt in the world. Please embrace me again. Hold my hand and walk with me again. Show me things the way that only you know how to show me. Enrich me in only the ways that you know how to enrich me. Heal me in only the ways that you know how to heal me. Love me in the ways that I have never known until now. Not so much that I need this to forget, but because I want more. Forever I want more. And for the first time, I don't feel selfish in saying it. For I know it comes from within me. And that this kingdom is not of this world, which is a world of limitations and separation and illusion. The world where I make this ask is a world of completeness and unity, joy and peace and harmony. This is my truth. Please hug me again with it. Kiss me again all over with it. Make love to me with it again. Over and over again. So we may create life eternal. Every step of the way. And so if that sounds like a relationship that you want and you desire, let me tell you, no hope is going to get you there. No plan. No steps of action. You just land there. Like a superhero. One knee down on the ground, you lift yourself up and you look and you see, this is my love. This is my success. This is it. I am that. This is my billionaire's walk. For I am that. It's not so much I'm becoming this anymore, I am that. And you see what happens when you tell yourself all of this truth through the imagination? For there can be nothing but truth when you are really present with the imagination and not using it for the construct of time, for the use of your power erroneously to judge and label things erroneously. You forget about all that bullshit. And you just fall in love with everything. The birds around you, flying on your shoulder, chirping. They want food, great, it's there in your hand. Is there anything stopping you from there being food in your hand? Anything stopping you from imagining food being in those beautiful birds' bellies? Their favorite treats, that which sustains them beyond compare? No, there is no limitation. For this is your relationship now with God. It is the imagination and it is Christ. And through this comes Jesus. Not a man, not someone walking this earth, bringing you the answers. For that would fall into the same camp as everything else. Jesus truly is the meaning of the word in Aramaic, Yeshua, salvation. Yeshua is your salvation. And I'm just realizing now I had this dream last night. I had a conversation with someone who told me their first name. And I told him that was the second name, the middle name of my son, Yeshua. And he looked at me in disbelief and he said, I know I'm seeing God. And I said, I know I am seeing God as well. Namaste. Which means the divine within me recognizes the divine within you as equals. Realized, conscious and aware of our truth in law and principle. Jesus means salvation. And your salvation varies moment by moment. And in this very uncertain world where a tree can fall at any time, we need to have faith that the path is clear for us and that God knows the means and the way each and every step we take through our surrender to Him, the Father of creation, who presents the perfect programming language to the subconscious, the womb of creation. And through this, we are truly made again, not begotten by man, but one in being with the Father, with the Mother, through the Holy Spirit, the breath of life. So breathe through that temple. Breathe through that temple and that pyramid that is the nose. Forget the garbage dump entry of the mouth. Please, I don't give stop statements regularly. Stop breathing through your mouth. Heal yourself in the easiest, most practical way you can if this story does not resonate with you. Please understand, your body appreciates a good, clean, healthy, warm breath through the nose. Trust me, it does. For if I were breathing through the mouth right now, I would be shivering cold and inviting all forms of disease into my body. I choose not to because it's not necessary, and the benefits do not outweigh the risks. It's that simple. Same goes with time. The benefits do not outweigh the risk in returning to that very unhealthy codependent relationship that you once had. So what does this mean? What does this say about William Vincent Carlton, if I can speak for him? It means I no longer recognize my name and my collection of life experiences as a priority. Instead, I recognize that which gives the aliveness to have made these things real as priority. So it means I no longer have this name. It no longer applies, except in a role on the stage. And this is going to be, speaking of time, challenging for the world outside, yourselves included, to understand. However, it is very common for those who have given their ego and their life experiences up to a higher power, which is what I am doing, to take on a new name. A name that is for the sake of existing as a placeholder for the body. So the Guru himself is not a holy, pious man. Just a man like anything else. But what is holy and pious exists within the Guru. And it's the same spirit that exists in you. And once you are present with it and prioritize it more than your collection of pain, than your love relationship with suffering and pain remembrances, and the narratives included, then you will also understand that it is time for you to be called something else, because to be called what you were simply does not make sense. It just doesn't apply. I see the deer in the far distance. I suppose it was just for me. It was a doe. So folks, what this means is my ego self doesn't have a name for whatever it is used as a placeholder, as a marker for me being in a life experience. However, William Vincent Carlton isn't an accurate statement for who I am. I've explained this to my parents, or at least with my father, and I don't expect him to understand. Just as I wouldn't expect Sai Baba's parents to understand, or any guru's parents to understand, though in Indian culture it's a bit more understandable since the philosophy comes from most of that tradition that I'm speaking to you now, including Zen Buddhism. Nor will I be offended by anything if you say William, Billy, my son, whatever. But I may not announce to you that every time it is said, I am receiving a benefit of some sort, understanding that this is just my past, unable to accept the truth of my existence, in love with God. For I am in love with God. The greatest love relationship that has ever existed. The greatest hugs, the greatest nourishment, the greatest care, the greatest listening, the greatest abundance, the greatest space, the greatest freedom that I've ever felt in a relationship is with God. There's no going back. For it would be unfair to have that expectation of time. Time simply is an illusion to begin with. So to place all of that burden on something that doesn't even exist itself is asinine, as far as I'm concerned, and unfair to whatever entity would be created through that. So that's why I'm giving William Vincent Carlton a nice, solid repose on this day and most days, because he has seen and been through enough that I have created with him erroneously through fear. I also want to say my daughter is alive. She may not be present before William or you. However, my daughter is alive because of the imagination. Helena is alive thanks to the imagination. And I don't need to see her here. Do you understand? I don't need to see her before me to prove to you anything, or to me. I just close my eyes and I see her emerald gown telling me that she wants pizza, to make another. As you wish. As you wish. My dearest daughter. And some would say I'd be just as crazy as to imagine Lumine and Liam, you being here with me now. So be it. Anything you wish for now is ours. That's why I know you're with me, because it is all I wish. And thus it is so. It is done. And nothing can be done to undo that. Not anymore. Thanks to my newfound beautiful relationship with the perfect spouse, business partner, and confidant that is God. So, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, thank you for making it all this way with me today. I know it's been a journey. I would love to hear from you. Please let me know in the comments, and know this: I love you with the same love that is being offered to me that I have described, which means the same grace is waiting for you. And I only pray to express myself through William in such a way that you feel supported, loved, listened to, and cherished, understanding that your perfect partner is calling to you from within and has nothing to do with me as an avatar or anyone else. So just know I am here to listen to you. God bless you. God bless everyone. God bless this beautiful country. And God bless the miracles of this day. I thank the Lord for this discourse and for being the sponsor of this video, always. Amen. God bless you. See you on the flip side.